Welcome, Professor Joachim Frank. Please have a seat. Good morning, I'm your host for today. My name is Jill. Welcome to today's Science Forum. Science advances not only by answering questions, but by making it possible to see what was once invisible. Today, we are truly honored to learn from Professor Frank, who has fundamentally transformed how we observe and understand the microscopic world. It is a privilege to have you here today. We would also like to express our sincere gratitude to National Taiwan University for supporting us for organizing this event, as well as Mr. Mulawitz for advancing the Taiwan Bridge program. Before we begin, allow me to introduce our distinguished guests. The 2017 Nobel Laureate in Chemistry, Professor Joachim Frank. And his wife is Sanwa. The chair of the International Peace Foundation, Mr. Uwe Mulawitz. Professors from National Taiwan University, Professor Chen Lingqi, Professor Ling Xiaoping, Associate Research Fellow of Academia Sinica, Dr. He Mengqiao. Professor He and Professor Lin will be joining us as a panelist in today's dialogue. Next, teachers from Taipei First Girls High School, Principal Chen Zhiyuan, PTA President Mrs. Wang Liying, Secretary Mr. Lai Zhuhong, and our host for the upcoming dialogue, Teacher Bryant. Last, we are also very happy to have the principal from Zhonglun High School, Mr. Wu Mingxiang, to join us. Thank you to all our distinguished guests and teachers for making today's dialogue possible. To capture this meaningful moment, we would like to invite everyone to join a group photo. Teachers in the front, please stay seated. 那麻烦两侧前5排的同学起立，然后向中间靠拢，谢谢。前5排的同学麻烦起立，然后向中间靠拢。那尾端的同学到桌子一半就可以了，谢谢。那可以麻烦摄影师喊个3、2、1吗？好，那两侧同学麻烦再进来一点，谢谢。后排同学需要进来一点吗？还是没问题？好，那主要是前面的同学麻烦再向中间靠拢一点点。谢谢 ，Thank you。Thank you everyone for your cooperation. Now, without further ado, I would like to hand my microphone over to Teacher Bryant.
Good morning, everyone. Guests, teachers, and dear students. Feeling both excited and nervous. I'm Bryant, an English teacher here at Taipei First Girls High School. It is an honor and pleasure to be your host for today's Q&A session. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of today's special event. Today is a little different because instead of a formal lecture, we're having a conversation that brings together experience, curiosity, and discovery across generations of scientists. So, a big shout out to all of our students at TFG. Give us a big hand. Now, look at this room. It's packed with students, probably over 300. Today is a rare opportunity. You're not just listening, you're part of the conversation. And of course, we're deeply honored and beyond thrilled to welcome our guest of honor, the 2017 Nobel Laureate in Chemistry, Professor Joachim Frank. A big round of applause, please. Professor Frank, welcome to TFG. It's nice to have you here. Please have a seat. Now, joining Professor Frank is Professor Lin from National Taiwan University. Your dream school. Now, Professor Lin, is an expert on biotechnology, molecular science, and many other things. Her expertise is truly impressive. Lots of contributions. Now, thank you for being here, Professor Lin. Join us on stage later. Last but not least, we have Dr. Ho from Academia Sinica, 中研院. Dr. Ho is a scientist who studies how proteins work at the molecular level. It's fascinating. Thank you, Doctor, for being here. Everybody's here. So what do you say we give our three guests another huge round of applause? Thank you. Thank you. Now, Professor Frank, thanks for being here. And thank you for your pioneering, groundbreaking work on cryo-electron microscopy. I feel smarter already just by saying these words. Now say it with me. Cryo-electron microscopy. Cryo-electron microscopy. Do you feel smarter? I hope so. Thank you, Professor, for your groundbreaking work on cryo-electron microscopy. Your research has changed the way we study life at the smallest unit, making it possible to turn blurry 2D images into clear, detailed, three-dimensional structures of molecules. In other words, now we can see the building blocks of life more clearly than ever before. Truly revolutionary. With that being said, Professor Frank, when people first hear about your research, cryo-electron microscopy, it can sound a little abstract. So if you were explaining it to, say, your family or our students here, what exactly is your research about, and why does it matter? Professor, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the very kind introduction. I'm delighted to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's a good question. It has a very long answer. I'll try to be brief. We do need to get the atomic structure of molecules, biomolecules, in order to understand disease processes and to be able to cure them. And that was recognized for a very long time, and that has caused the emergence of X-ray crystallography, which is another big word. So the first way to study molecular structure was with X-rays. In fact, it was done a long time ago, and one of the pioneers was Max Perutz. But for studying molecules with X-ray crystallography, one needs to put the molecules into a crystal arrangement. And that was successful for quite a lot of molecules, starting with hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, you know, is the transporter of oxygen in our blood. So that was one of the first molecules that was investigated by X-ray crystallography. But the problem is that many molecules just don't like to be in crystal form. So there is a very large number of proteins that could never be studied by X-ray crystallography. And so this, I was trying to address this particular gap in our universe of structures. And so the idea was to use electron microscopy instead. And so the idea was to actually look at individual molecules and try to image them. But if you do this, it doesn't work very well because the electrons are so destructive. They destroy the molecule. So one needs to use a very, very low dose of electrons, but then one doesn't see anything because everything looks speckled. So one needs to average over lots of molecules. So how can we do this? The idea that I had was to just have the molecules floating in solution and then trap them. And then they're randomly oriented and one gets thousands, millions of the same molecule, and it presents different views in the electron microscope. And the idea was simply to take a single snapshot of this and then take all different views and merge them together into an averaged three-dimensional structure. So that was the idea. So one doesn't have to, in the electron microscope, one really needs to look at a molecule from different directions. And the initial idea that my mentor had was to actually put the molecules onto the grid and then turn it around in increments. But if you do that, then you destroy the molecules in the process. You use so much radiation that in the end it's destroyed. And that it gave me the idea, you know, why do we have to tilt them? They already tilt themselves. They are already randomly tilted. Okay, so the idea was to make use of thousands, of tens of thousands of images of the same molecule existing in different orientations. And so from that snapshot, one could then get the three-dimensional structure. But it sounds like a brilliant idea, but it doesn't work because one doesn't know anything. One doesn't know the orientations of the molecules. One doesn't know anything. So it's an unknown structure seen from unknown directions. And then you have to make sense of the data. That's where my work came in because I had to come up with the mathematics and computational procedures to make this happen. So I had to design software that was dealing with this very complicated situation. So it was essentially sort of a data mining a very early kind of data mining that that I had to design at the time. So I designed a very large software system, which I called Spider, that has many operations and which we could put together and then essentially come to the solution.
That was mind-blowing. When I was nodding, I really followed what Professor Frank was saying. I wasn't pretending. I understood because I did my homework. Now, it's brilliant because that just goes to show that science is about solving problems, one after another, experimenting with possibilities, and eventually coming to the final conclusion that you're looking for. Thank you, Professor. That was so insightful. Now, Professor Lin, bringing this closer to home, how does Professor Frank's work connect to your field? Any exciting applications?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a bench scientist. So we do experiments in the lab. We try to figure out how biology works. So for me, especially, it's like I try to study how cell fate transition works. Okay. So, okay. Okay. It's fine. I guess it's echo. Okay, so the structure will really give us another layer of insight. So if we want to see like how enzyme works, and knowing the exact. So knowing the exact structure will really help us point the function, and also like how depends on the importance of the technology breakthrough, including interdisciplinary technology. So although as a biologist, but now we really implement a lot of like mathematic modeling, and we need the frontier technology in not only imaging and structural biology, but also the high throughput like transcriptome, just basically studying all RNAs and the protein molecules in a cell and how they transit. And the electron microscopy technology, especially cryo-EM-scopy, is really letting us, giving us the opportunity to study the mechanism. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lin, for putting everything into perspective for us. Now, Dr. Ho, your work also focuses on understanding proteins. And I know for a fact that you have applied Professor Frank's technology to your own research. So that's exciting. Can you tell us about that? Thank you.
So, hey, so as Professor Frank just says, the original, the cryo-EM, we usually call it cryo-EM, is much easier. So cryo-EM is solving the big gap of crystallography. So I was actually trained as a protein crystallographer long time ago. And we like to solve the structure of a protein because knowing the structure, you can guess how it functions. Okay, that shape is related to function. So knowing the shape of the protein, we can guess the function and we can actually manipulate the function. That's what we're hoping, or stop the function for the drug discovery or something like that. So that's my big dream. I always study a function of structure. And then I came back to Taiwan. I've continued to do protein crystallography, and then I have a big challenge. The protein I like to study doesn't want to be crystallized, as Professor Frank says. Not many protein can be crystallized. In fact, it's what we guess is about 10% of the universal protein can be crystallized, and the 90% cannot, and which they are important as well. So in 2018, and academia Sinica decided to purchase the state-of-art cryo because of revolution. I was involved in to set it up. And that's blow my mind, the things I want to study. I finally can see the structure, and I even go further, the more difficult thing. And then we're solving a lot of structure using Professor Frank's technology. And I also want to say the spider is built on this modulate that every individual is module, and you just pick the module in order to solve what you want to do. And nowadays we still do the same way. And you pick your module and you assemble different module. You solve in the final structure using different kind of pathway to do that. So everything we actually benefit a lot. And actually, right now I'm actually shifting my research to probably more than the pooling crystallography due to that reason.
Thank you, Dr. Ho, for your insights. I think that goes to show that Professor Frank's work is not just about research, it's technology that you can use to solve problems. Now, back to Professor Frank. We're all curious about this. I know you probably answered this question a million times, but what was it like to win the Nobel Prize? Where were you when you heard the news?
It was awesome, as you can imagine. It was 5:18 in the morning, okay, and we were woken up by a phone call, and then it was a Swedish accented English of a woman who said, "May I give you to the secretary of the?" I said, "Sure." And then I got the announcement, and it was really awesome. And and the funny thing was that 5:18 in the morning, you know about this for the first time, and they ask you to join a press conference at 6 o'clock by phone. Yeah. And so this is how the day began.
So, what was your first reaction?
Well, it's it's in a situation where essentially you think you may get the announcement. Okay, so because there has been signs along the way. Okay, nobody is informed by about their nominations, but something is sort of percolating around. Okay, because there had been so many announcements of success of the technology that you think you might actually get it.
Yeah, you heard stories and rumors. Right? Now, has your life changed ever since?
Completely. Yeah.
Oh, in what ways?
Well, one way was that I noticed that I can finish sentences without being interrupted. So I got somehow more authority somehow, by this way. And but more seriously, it really it opened my own horizon because it enabled me to get in touch, and I had many opportunities to meet people who I would never have dared to approach before, because all of a sudden they were sort of ranked in the same way. So I had no hesitation, and I made many new acquaintances and friendships and so forth. And it was an eye-opener because I also found out how other people's minds worked, who had similarly approached very complex problems in completely different areas.
It sounds like winning the Nobel Prize opens a lot of doors and possibilities. Now, I got one more question. Professor Frank, outside of science, what do you enjoy doing? I mean, I know that Professor Frank has a blog and he loves literature. Can you tell us about what you enjoy doing in your free time?
Fiction writing and photography, and so I've been writing a lot of short stories, and I enjoyed really expressing myself in the new language. English is my second language, as everybody knows. I'm from Germany initially, so there was a challenge to get to a level where I could really be recognized by literary journals and so forth. And I made it into this category. So I have published many short stories and published two novels.
What draws you to literature? What got you into it?
I've always liked to write, express myself. I wrote some poetry and prose, sort of fast fiction in German initially, and then when I got into the English language era, first in England, I already tried to express myself. In Germany, in fact, I already had to express myself in English in scientific articles, because if you want to really be widely read in the literature, then you have to do some English.
Thank you. So Professor Frank is not just a scientist, but also an author. Now, I have a lot more questions, but now we would like to open the floor to you, our audience. If you've ever wanted to ask a Nobel Prize winner something, this is your chance. Don't miss it. Seize the opportunity. Now, feel free to ask anything about science, about research, about life, or even about music in the lab. Now, no pressure. Any question is welcome. Later, before you ask a question, remember to, number one, say hi. Number two, say your name, and then your question. You have a microphone right in front of you. Turn on the microphone, then you can speak. When you're finished, remember to turn it off, all right? Turn on the mic, introduce yourself, ask your question, and then turn it off. Is that clear? Any questions? Okay, if not, who would like to break the ice as a warrior and ask the first question? By the way, I'm not going to say 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1. I'll say uno, dos, tres. Uno, dos, tres in Spanish. All right, get ready. Uno, dos, tres. So fast. Warrior, go ahead.
Hello. Sorry. Hello, Mr. Frank. My name is Ching from Taipei First High School, and I want to ask you about when did you decide to step in the field of research? When did you set your mind you want to do research for the rest of your life?
Well, it's a sort of a difficult question because my scientific history starts when I was 8 years old. I was working under the veranda of my parents' house and did all kinds of experiments. I didn't know what science was, but I had sort of a native curiosity about things, about how they work and so forth. And so that's really how it started. And then I became a radio guy, took radios apart and put them back together and so forth. So it was always, I had this focus on things, on materials and how they work and so on. So it was always, I had this physics orientation in my brain. I was this was always also fostered by a physics teacher in my high school, and so for me it was a foregone conclusion that it would go into physics, but I had no idea. I had no idea what kind of research I would be doing. I only thought any direction that would allow me to continue in this vein would be my life, and so from physics, then I got into life sciences pretty much by accident, but it was always my dream to do research, and I was very lucky that it worked out for me.
Thank you. That's a brilliant question. I think very often we just don't know. It's all about experimenting and trying, and eventually something will just come up. One of my favorite ideas from Professor Frank came from a video I watched on YouTube. And he said this: be curious and be stubborn. I think curiosity is an important part of doing science and doing research. And he has always shown a lot of curiosity about life. That's definitely going to stick with us. Thank you. All right. Next up, uno, dos, tres. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, Professor Frank. I'm a 10th grader from TFG, and my name is Savannah. And my question is that what is one or two research directions that you find important for the scientists of the next generation to study on from the perspective of your very own expertise? Thank you.
What is the most important topics? It's very difficult for me to identify topics. There are thousands of topics, and I think we are living in a time when the topics come along every day, and so you have to essentially develop the idea of what is a compelling subject to address, and do have the means to do it. What would take it in order to take on this project? Is it doable with existing methods? If it's not, then can I actually contribute to the development of methods in order to tackle it? And that's where you have a decision on whether to pursue a particular protein, a particular symptom, or a particular phenomenon with existing method, or you see all of a sudden that there is the need for another method, and then you go into a methods development. And so it's very much depends on the way you already constructed at that time, whether you are someone who wants to pursue one particular topic, or you want to contribute to the way how to tackle the entire generic problem.
By the way, if our two other experts have anything to add, please just feel free to share and comment.
Okay. So can I maybe expand from that question to ask for the students? Because I think you have a very interdisciplinary background. And for students at this stage, like high school, university, is really critical stage to build foundation. So is there any specific subjects you think for this age, it will be better to really go through the hard, like physics, calculus, to really set the deep foundation before they explore further? Do you think so?
I really don't have a suggestion. There are sort of millions of different subjects, and I would, in today's world, obviously, we have a problem. We have a problem about how to manage the future. And so this is related to global warming and so forth. So we are living in, going into an uncertain future. And I would say, I would encourage people to think about how they can contribute to the solution of these problems. And there are manifold possible contributions. But I think particularly in this time, it's everybody's responsibility to make a little contribution to the solution of these problems.
Thank you, Professor, for your insights. Dr. Ho, is there anything you would like to add? Thank you.
If I may, So I think I totally agree with what Professor Frank says. In the nowadays, especially genetic AI of the computation, we have to explore by information. So idea comes day by day. It's very easy way. The key is, can you execute the idea to make happening? And let's say, can you solve the problem? Is existing solve? Can you solve it? If there is no existing like Huang, there's no such method. Professor Frank devised a method to make it available and made it beneficial to that. But without that method, even that important questions, I still cannot execute it. So I think idea is everybody says, what's the idea? For me, how did you execute it? Become the nowadays more important question to that. I think that's something we need to embrace that. And what's the important question? Can we, as your stage, solve it or not? Okay, I think that's very important thing.
Just one sentence. I think I personally think really follow your heart. What interests you, and what even make you feel joyful during the course of pursuing it, may be more important than what your parents tell you what to do.
Thank you. That really resonates with us. That's what we have heard from a lot of Nobel laureates. Follow your heart. I think it's about identifying a problem and finding necessary means to solve that problem. And if you don't have that solution, try to work it out. Do something to work it out. All right, thank you. Let's continue. Uno, dos, tres. Oh, okay. Right there at the very back.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hi, my name is Sophie. Professor, I saw your post about ChatGPT reviewing your novel, but I'm curious about the impact of AI on the other side of your works. How do you see the impact of AI on the development of cytoelectron microscopy technology? Thank you.
Yeah, I have very mixed opinions about AI, the use of AI and the proliferation of it. It has a certain value in science, as in some ancillary way, even in cryo-EM. But I'm most concerned about the generative use of AI, the way it seeps into our culture and the way it overtakes our culture. So it essentially recreates us in some homogenized way. I count this among the most serious problems that we face in the future. The proliferation of use of generative AI, and I would ask people who share my concern to join me in combating it in every way possible.
Of how to combat AI.
I cannot give you an example because we are right now fighting corporations who have taken over energy resources, water resources from communities all over the world, and so it is a very tough struggle right now. And I think maybe the problem solves itself by a complete collapse of this entire enterprise. But I'm generally a little pessimistic. Now you alluded in your question, you alluded to my use of ChatGPT, and which I did tongue in cheek, okay, because I wanted to see what is going to happen. So I asked ChatGPT to review my novel, and so it was pretty amazing. It used the literary categories of literary criticism that was well recognizable. But then I went on to ask ChatGPT how would Frankenstein review this novel. And that was pretty amazing because Frankenstein actually was very had a lot of sympathy for my character and expressed empathy with him. And from the point of view of being a loner, he was a loner. He couldn't express himself and so on. And there was this similarity with the protagonist of my novel. So it was eerie to find this kind of analysis.
Wow. AI is a complex issue. I think we need another forum for this. But thank you, Professor, for your insights and your opinion about AI. Now, let's continue. Fire away. Uno, dos, tres. Ooh. Okay, please.
Hello, Professor Frank. I am a student here today, and I've been thinking a lot about the dedication required for your work. When you were developing these methods, was there a specific aha moment where the chemistry final became clear, or was it a small grind of small improvements over decades? And how did you stay motivated and keep your passion alive during the long periods when the results didn't come immediately? Thank you.
So basically, she's trying to see how you cope with the long journey, especially when things are not.
That's a question that I get very often because there's always these stretches of very big disappointments where you really get through a period of disappointment and failure. And so I had a very long period of time. I would say maybe 10 years, where there was really no recognition of the ideas and the contributions. And okay, I have to let this thing out. I'm very easily distracted. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So there was a very long period of time where I didn't receive any recognition, and it was very important to have a small group of true believers who reaffirmed, you're on the right track and so forth, and it helps a lot to get through these kinds of times with emotional support by my wife and my family. So this is very important. But I think doing research, you're really getting used to it. You're getting used to it, and you have the experience that you wait long enough and you get to a breakthrough. And the advice that I give other people is always it helps to have more than one project in mind, because it affords you the ability to simply switch over, to just forget for a moment what you're looking for, and then switch over to another project, and then hopefully with better success. And then very often you wait a year or a couple of years, and all of a sudden something new happens in the literature, or so new methods come in, and all of a sudden, and then you have the means to continue with the initial project.
Thank you, Professor, for your insight. So it is about following your heart and sometimes trying new different things, and also about finding partners, companions who believe in the same thing, right? Thank you very much. Now, let's continue. Hit me with more questions. Uno, dos, tres. Okay, let's hear from someone from the very back there. Go ahead.
Hello, Professor. Professor, I'm the 10th grade student from TFG, and I'm Katie. I know that doing a research may take a lot of time, but sometimes we have to relax. Like professor say, you like to photo or writing novels. So my question is that how do you get balance between your work, your research, and your life? Thank you.
This is obviously a good question. There's only one of these activities that earn the bread. Okay, so it always would have the priority, and so with the rest of the time, I can do what I want. And so whenever I have the opportunity to relax and have extra time. Even during my science, sometimes they are 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and so forth. I have the ability to simply switch over to the other brain part of the brain, and work on artistic stuff and literature.
So stay focused and find little opportunities to relax and do what you love. Anything to add? Thank you.
Add something. So first of all, we hear this question a lot, work-life balance. And what I want to say as a research, our job is actually relaxing. I'd rather to go to work. It's more fun than taking care of my kids. It's more way stressful. And I also want to say nowadays, we've been told work-life balance. I never feel the need of a balance. I would say work-life integration, not balance. The balance means there's a finite. If I get out work, I get out work. Mm-hmm. Researcher, we never get out work. In the middle of the night, when I watching the kids, in the 5 minutes when I have free time, I will start thinking my project. Mm-hmm. And if they need me or I need to yell at them, I will switch to father mode. Okay, the back and forth, and you really don't need balance. You need love your work, okay, and follow your heart, and integrate with your life. Prioritize things. Sometimes kids go first, sometimes they go second. So it's just integration, these things. Just don't do balance. There's no such balance things. That's my advice for most young kids.
I think this is a very good observation. Very often I just answer this question without contest, but you're absolutely right. It's an integration of the entire personality, and there are many different aspects that simply continuously they coexist. They coexist, and you make full use of your entire creativity and personality. And the difference between the arts and science is that these are domains with different rules that are agreed on. And so if you keep track of these rules, then you can really unfold all your capacity.
Thank you. That's really insightful. Resonates a lot with many of us. So I think it is about like finding something you love to do and then stay present. Get your priorities straight and then stay present in everything you do. Thank you very much. Let's move on to our next question. Uno, dos, tres. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, Professor Frank. I'm Paula from Taipei First Girls High School, and I'm curious about what's the biggest problem you've faced during your research and how did you overcome it technically? Like, are there any process that you will go through or think through when you face a big problem? Thank you.
Well, I think the biggest problem right at the beginning was that I had this idea that I told you about before, and with all these different molecules and so on. But they really, for it to work, it relied on a way to identify molecules and similar views and so forth and classify them. And there was, at the beginning, I was not aware of any method that could do this. And as long as there was no method, I could only rely on subjective decisions. As long as these are subjective decisions, we don't have a science, because I cannot even communicate with someone else the way I approach something. So it was a very big breakthrough when we found a way of doing a classification of images objectively with a computer. And that occurred rather early, that occurred in 1980. So that we were able to use methods in multivariate statistics to classify images in 2 dimensions. And that was a very big breakthrough, and because it was recognized by other people that this was an objective basis of pursuing these kinds of methods.
Our other 2 experts, do you have anything else to add or any feedback you can share?
So Professor Frank made his breakthrough sounds very easy, but you make it sound so easy. But as far as I understand, I come from protein crystallography, which Professor Frank mentioned. During that 1990 times, the big trendy, big science is protein crystallography. Everybody believed that's the solution to solve the structure. When I was studying in the PhD in 2010, I don't even believe cryo-EM can achieve atomic resolution. It may, but in a very unique case. So I could not imagine that in the 2 decades of time, the pressure, the loneliness, the criticize to Professor Frank, can you make atomic? Can this method works? And along the way, he had many, many difficulty. Remember in 1990, computer is like gigantic. You punch the car. Okay, there's no USD. It's not even CD. It's this floppy drive. You probably don't see it. I see that. And so he need overcome not only technology question. I measure the founding agents will say, why you do this? Why don't we switch to protein crystallography? And I was always wondering, how did you persist, not just follow your heart? How did you persist to continue pushing forward until reach today's stage? It's not easy task. I would never imagine.
Yeah, so there was an interesting time when I really didn't think that we going to get to atomic resolution, and then and the actually crystallographers put us really down, globology and so forth. However, we recognized rather early that all of a sudden we are able to see motions, molecular motions that were not seen by X-ray crystallography. So then I thought, or we thought in our group that we take advantage of the fact that we have the very solid X-ray structures, but we have to mold them into the movements that we see. And then we get more information because we get information on the dynamics of molecules. So we contributed to dynamics. X-ray crystallography contributes to high resolution. So that was an in-between time when we could still claim victory in some way, okay? Even though we could not get to all the way. And then there was this recognition that all along we were stymied by a ridiculous obstacle. The ridiculous obstacle was the recording of the information. The information was there, was fantastic information from the electron microscope. The software was there to evaluate everything. But the ridiculous problem was the recording. And that was overcome in 2012. And then all of a sudden people talked about the resolution revolution. Well, this was simply because this little stupid obstacle was removed. But the technology was already available. Everything was there. And then they became the review articles that left out all the credit from decades before.
Thank you, Professor.
One thing to add, the obstacle Professor Frank mentioned in 2012 is, consider now that we take pictures. Okay, we use smartphone to take pictures. You can have your hand vibrate, you still take good pictures. Okay, because now we call pictures, we're actually taking movies. And the algorithm make pictures. But in the old time, when there's no smartphone, which my time, when you have hand waving, you don't take picture. They are very blurry. That's the key technology in 2012, incorporate into the microscope and solving that power.
I was actually talking about the camera which detects single electrons, and that produced this huge improvement in resolution. And then, in order to make good use of these cameras, one would use shooting entire movies, and then obviously correct for motion.
Thank you, Professor. Sounds to me like if you want to solve a scientific problem, sometimes you have to stay patient and stubborn and wait for the right things to come along. Thank you. Let's move on to our next question. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Professor Frank. I'm Sophie, and I'm a student from Taipei First Girls High School. And I've noticed that many of your researches are connected to electrons in some way. And I was curious about what motivated you to go into this field, and if you've ever applied a certain mindset that allows this level of perseverance. Thank you.
I didn't get this.
What drives you to this particular field, and what's motivating you for keeping it on and for the perseverance?
Right. So initially, as you know, I started as a physicist, and then because I won an award, a prestigious award, right at the beginning because of a performance in an exam. And that brought me in contact with students that also got this kind of award. And they were from different disciplines. And that was very important because it got me in contact with people in life sciences, neurophysiology, molecular biology, and so forth. That was at the beginning of molecular biology, molecular genetics, and it was a very exciting time. And I recognized what I can do as a physicist in this area. I had no idea before that physicists could even make a contribution in biology. But then when I saw what was happening right then in the life sciences, I got encouraged. And then I got into electron microscopy because somehow I found out what electrons are doing during my Diplomarbeit or master thesis.
Thank you. So your network is important. Finding people who may just change something for you. Anything to add from our two experts? experience feedback? Thank you.
I think for the following for the several questions above, it can conclude as really follow what really excites you, and also having a group of people like you guys, you girls have got really brilliant peer group. Really, I mean it. So and later on you will go into this different discipline, and you already have the network. You already know your peer group now, and they can really help you along the way. So for myself, and I think for many other scientists, we have the same experience. Like throughout our career, even our connection from like elementary school, sometimes they can really give us insight. And especially when I know many of you are already executing some research projects and also going through many competitions. And I also cultivated some students from here, and they have great experience for interacting with the peer through the competition. And many of your best collaborators may be from your previous competitors. Yeah.
So follow what excites you, follow your passion, and find your tribe, like-minded people, right? Thank you, professors, for your insight. Next. Uno, dos, tres. Okay, right there. Go ahead. Yes.
Good morning, Professor Frank. My name is Lena. My question is that in a research, when the results don't turn out as we expected, how do we decide if we should stay stubborn and keep going, or should we change the path? Thank you very much.
Some of it I have answered before, but essentially the additional question is it worth going along with the initial idea? So that is a very tough question. Then you have to decide whether you have to sort of make introspection, or you have to reaffirm it with other people. You know, should I really stay on the track? Is it possible that maybe the design of the experiment was wrong, but the idea was the right one? These are individual decisions, and I was stubborn. Was mentioned before. I was very stubborn in my pursuit of the initial idea, and I'm very glad that I stuck to it. So an option would have been forget about single particle. We have this beautiful method of X-ray crystallography. Why don't we just jump over to that camp? But maybe it was a matter of pride to stick to it at that moment. Yeah.
I just want to add, you think we all, from the movie, you think all scientists have success every day. Every day we have glory, every day. No, every day is failure day. Every day is unexpected. We are explore unexplored territory. Every day what we hypothesis, I will tell you, 99.999 was wrong. Every day, that's what you do. So my wife said, how you deal with it? Every day you fail. Yeah. I said, yeah, but every day I can prove I was right again. Why not? That's fun. So, but you're going to face this as a scientist. What I think the more important, stay curious, priority, and open mind to talk to your peers. Get reaffirmed, is this path going on? You need to talk to people to get idea, and they will support you. Like small victory, you know you are in the right path. Or if no victory, maybe you are in the wrong path. There is no right and wrong decision. So again, there's nowadays when you enter the adult world, there is no right and wrong. It's a gray area. And you need to make decision wisely, and I must just talk to friends, talk to other experts, get reaffirm your idea. That is important. Don't work alone. You need to talk to people.
Science sounds like really is a very lonely journey. So find companions, find friends, find people who can stay with you. All right, we have about 7-8 more minutes. Let's continue with probably 2 more questions. Uno, dos, tres. Whoa, that was really fast. Right there at the very back. Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Frank. My name is Anne, and what I want to ask is, did your path in literature play any role in your research? Yeah, thank you.
Play some roles in your research.
We talked about the integration of personality before. It is really of the same cloth, I would say. When I express myself in fiction writing, I benefit from the exactitude of scientific expression. So my fiction may be characterized by this kind of very precise detail in which things are formulated, and vice versa. Science writing benefits from metaphors, from imagery that is embedded in culture. Okay, if you read any article, then you can see how pictorial information is used in order to express something. So I see that there's a lot of cross fertilization between these 2 modes of expressing yourself.
The Asia boy get education in Taiwan. We also have a divided. I know most of your science students. So science, literature. You cannot do both. You need to pick sides. So when my father told me you need to learn English well, I rejected. I said, I'm a science guy. English literature is not my thing. I come to very end of realize in my current stage, literature is so important. I so regret I didn't put effort, because science is about communication. You need to communicate the other people what you have discovered. Without that ability, even you are a good scientist, doesn't matter. I truly regret that I told my father, no, English is not important, Chinese is not important. I'm staying in my science land. And I wish I would spend more time to polish. Luckily, I have ChatGPT nowadays. But I was regretful that I should spend more time in the literature when I was a kid.
So literature does make you sharper, more sensitive. You know what you're talking about, and it helps. Okay, anything you want to add?
It's okay. I think we can.
Okay, thank you. All right, probably one final question for today. So get ready. Uno, dos, tres. Okay, right there, the fastest one.
Hello, Professor Frank. And I'm Joanne from First Girl High School. I would like to ask, what is the most important factor in research? Well, I mean that, is it a strong starting point, or the ability to keep the research going, or the capability for innovation? Thank you.
The 3 items, maybe repeat that. The 3 examples you gave out.
A strong starting point, or the ability to
starting point, and
or the ability to keep the research going,
ability to keep it going, perseverance,
and the capability for innovation.
Capability for innovation.
Thank you.
Be a mixture of all 3. I wouldn't put something on it. I think the the starting point is really is the expertise itself. I mean, the ability to take on something like this, which is a given. Because you have to start from somewhere, and then tenacity and stubbornness is really very much part of it. And then the stamina to actually perform what you set out is important. But all three are definitely very important in order to get something done.
Well, sounds like being a scientist really is not easy, but it's very rewarding, and you get to change the world. I wish we could continue, but it's about time. And I was wondering, what's one final thought, Professor Frank, that you want to leave our students with? What's the one thing you want them to remember, keep in mind? Thank you.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention this before, but a very important thing if you want to get something done is peripheral vision. Peripheral vision. So if you want to pursue something, then don't just go ahead along some kind of a narrow lane, but rather watch out what's happening on the wayside. There are accidental things all of a sudden come along, and they can give you inspirations in a very unexpected way. And you have to look out for these. You have to integrate them into your whole problem solving. And otherwise, you don't get anywhere. My experience is the most important milestones in my work were completely accidental. So I worked sort of in a zigzag way.
Thank you. Did you get that word, peripheral vision, Yu Guang? So stay focused, but look around. You will see possibilities and help along the way. Now, thank you all for this incredibly engaging and fascinating conversation. And you have been part of the conversation. Another huge thank you to Professor Frank, Professor Lin, and Dr. Ho for sharing their time, insights, and journey with us. Let's give them another big round of applause. Thank you. And Professor Frank, okay, this is truly special for us because as part of the Taiwan Bridges program, to welcome Professor Frank as the final speaker in the series. And to everyone in the audience, I hope today's conversation reminds you that science is not just about data or knowledge, but it's about curiosity, persistence, and the courage to explore the unknown. Be curious and be stubborn, all right? Thank you. Now, let's take photos together. Okay.
Maybe I can fill in a little bit. Yeah, I think as a female scientist, as you are, so you may find it maybe difficult to balance everything, but it is possible. So as long as you really love it, you really believe what you are pursuing can be a scientific question or a development of a particular method, that's really close enough to your heart. And what you are doing, including even the administration, and I know many of you are in club activities, that's really depending on multidisciplinary abilities and time management. And you girls are amazingly amazingly good in pursuing all of those. So I think it's really all possible. And for science, if science is what you are trying to pursue, indeed it comes with huge amount of obstacles, frustrations, but at the same time, is a massive amount of opportunities. And so following on the communication and literature, every business is show business. So if you want to really express your idea and deliver what you have discovered to the public, I don't know how many of you are actually the follower of his son, the Frank. Yeah, so he made like amazing videos and with scientific truths and with a lot of humor. So you can imagine maybe in their family it's very, for father and the son are both like very humorous and scientifically accurate. So I think having that ability to evaluate the idea, and he's particularly sharp in dissecting the questions over the last 2 days of conversation. We can see either it's a scientific question or even just everyday question. He can really see through it and see the nature and even the mathematics behind it, which not many of us can really can easily understand. But I think those are the characters and the foundations that all of you can build at this stage, trying to be critical, question everything, and also question yourself what you really want. That's it.
Thank you, Professor Lin, for your words of encouragement and wisdom. Dr. Ho, do you have anything to add? Thank you.
So if I can come, I also listened to Frank's talks yesterday, and I also inspired me a lot of things which I never think. So we remain curious, stay focused. What often students will say, will they be narrow-minded? There's either I will stay focused, then I cannot open-minded. You feel that word in there contradictory with each other. Okay, but what the real world is, there is no divider. You can stay focused in open-minded. You just set priorities. 60% time, that's a stay focused. Like 40%, I can be open-minded, I can do something else. I want to stay science, but I can read a novel. I can make friends. I want to stay important question. I still have my life. No, you don't need to divide. You don't need to limit yourself. Just open mind, try it out, but you want to prioritize your life, which is the most important, second important, third important. Again, math, science, and the literature, they don't conflict each other. You can handle both. You can, just don't limit. I limit myself, okay? And if I don't, so in 2018, when we purchased the cryo-EM, I was told my colleague, I will never use it. Those are not good. They are not atomic. I will stay in my cryo-EM crystallography land. And now I actually use 90% cryo-EM. I still use protein crystallography. I don't limit myself right now. My question is protein structure. No matter which one can solve the structure, I will use it. I don't limit it. I don't need it. I'm protein crystallography. I don't need to do cryo-EM. I'm protein guy. I don't do genetics. The question is life. Which one solve it? I will use it, and I will invest it. I will think about it, learn something about it. I will evaluate. That's it. That's why. Don't limit yourself. Don't divide the world by black and white, right and wrong. There's a gray area.
We had a nice chat. Yeah, thanks for being back. So I guess what we are going to take away with us is just to stay focused, but be flexible. Live your life, be present, but be flexible. Look around, use your peripheral vision. All right. Thank you very much. There's a lot to take home today. And I guess it's about time for us to take a photo. So I would like to welcome okay. So thank you, everybody. That's our Q&A session. Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. Before we take a photo, we would like to ask Professor Frank to come to the center of the stage. Our principal has prepared a gift for you. So the gift is a TFG doll, but what makes it different is that it is Chibu Maruka-chan, which is a famous Japanese cartoon character. Oh, thank you. Now we would also like to invite Mr. Carl Signa, Mr. Moravitz, Professor Chen, and TFG teachers in the front to come on stage and have a group photo. So teachers from the front, please come on stage to have a group photo. Only the teachers in the front, sorry. Okay, so please look at the central camera. Okay, thank you. So that concludes today's event. Thank you all for your participation and wish you a wonderful day. Thank you. 那我们今天的就到这边结束。那下方在这边有准备这次活动特制的车轮饼在门口外面，大家可以去领取。那上面印有今天讲者的头像，大家可以拍照。那麻烦第14届使节尽速到台前进行合照，谢谢。那同学们就可以离开了，谢谢大家今天的参与。